Hi, loves, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Saida. Thanks for coming back if you are a returning guest, and thanks for clicking on this video if you are new. So, today I'm going to do a part two to Don't Fall for the Counterfeit. And I feel like this situation involves not falling for the counterfeit because had I made a different choice, then of course I would have ended up with a different outcome. And so that's why I kind of consider it to be that it could have been a counterfeit type of situation. It's not going to be exactly how the other one was, where it was a clear counterfeit situation, but I think this kind of falls under the same umbrella. I guess I don't know. Anyway, this is my story. So, I a couple years ago was wanting to go out of town for my birthday, and I was looking at a ton of different places because we have something our um, on our website where we can kind of see who has flights available and how many seats they have available. And so I knew that, somebody had told me to try this method. I'm like, okay, I'll try it. I had like 10 different places that I was looking at going. I think a couple of them were like Guatemala, Bahamas, Costa Rica, Jamaica, um, Belize. I don't even know. I can't even remember all the other ones because I had so many of them on there. So I went and I looked up all of these places. I looked up like look up things to do there. I looked up like hotels and I looked up like just different facts about the different places, popular food or drinks or, just different things like that. And so previously, like a few years before this, or like maybe 2 years before that, I had basically kind of done the same thing. And I ended up going to Cancun, and it was just, I ended up going like on my own because I didn't have anybody to go with me, and so it ended up being a pretty decent trip besides not having anyone to go with me. But then this year, I felt like, oh, I can do that again and it'll work out the same because I got a great hotel from, clicking on, or just everything was kind of like, I just kind of went with it. Like whatever came about, like I just kind of went with it and went with the flow. And so I thought that this year I could go and do the same thing. And so I looked up everything. I was like, okay, I want to stay at this hotel. I want to do this. I want to do that. I even tried to call and everything like that. But so it got down to the last minute, the last day, where I was literally looking at these places every day. I had my friends, I had two friends that were going with me. I'm like, hey, look up this place. I'll look up this place. You look up these. I gave them like a list of like three places to look up. And then I gave this one three places. And then I was looking up the other places. And I'm like, hey, I need y'all to look this up. I need y'all to help me figure out which place we're going to go to because this one has this, but then that one has that. And then, basically all of them pretty much had a beach for the most part. There were a couple that didn't have a beach, but I really wanted to go to the beach. And so anyway, they're looking at me like, girl, like I'm not trying to do all this work, but I'm like, no, I want to be fair. Like we need to look it up. We need to, And so anyway, they didn't look up anything. But what happened was, I had some in mind, and so I'm checking the flights before the night before. I'm like, I'm up all night. I'm checking. We have to be at the airport. Actually, we had to be at the airport. We decided on Jamaica at the time, but there was other, and it was like the night before. Like we literally decided on Jamaica like the night before. Out of all the places I was looking at, because I was watching the flights, and I said, oh my gosh, these flights are filling up so fast. These are oversold. Like we're not going to get a seat because we fly standby, which means like if there's a seat available, then you can fly. If not, you can't fly. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, we're not going to get a seat because there is no seats available. And so I'm looking at all of these different flights, and Bahamas is filling up, and Guatemala is filling up, and blah, blah, blah is filling up. And all of these places are like filling up, and they're like completely sold out. Plus, there's people on the standby list waiting to get on the flight. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we're not going to be able to go. So like I said, we decided on Jamaica the night before, and Jamaica actually was leaving at 1 p.m. and that was their first flight that was leaving that day. The other ones were leaving earlier in the morning, and I don't know, I kind of felt like I was hearing the Holy Spirit tell me that Jamaica was where I should go. But I'm like, okay, I got to look at what's the best place, what has the most seats, what has the most seats, because the main thing is we wanted to make sure that we had a seat to go for all three of us. Because if we didn't have a seat for all three of us, then we weren't going to go to that particular destination. So I was trying to look for a plane that had a seat for all three of us. We didn't book any reservations before time because, like I said, I had done it a few years before, and I was like, oh, okay, we could just do it again, thinking it was going to be that simple and easy, and it was not. But I'll get into that. So anyway, um, I'm like, okay, maybe we can go somewhere else because I really wanted to go to Bahamas. I really want to go to Belize. I really want to go to all these other places. And so I'm like, oh, these have seats. And so anyway, I'm up, like we went to the store, we're packed, I'm, putting last minute things in my bag. I'm up to like 3 in the morning, and I'm like looking at the flights. I'm checking every flight that I had on my list. I'm like, okay, this one is open. Okay, that one is open. Wait, now this one opened up like 13 seats. Now Bahamas has like 15 seats. Now that, so I'm literally like just racking my brain trying to figure out like, okay, where are we going to go? Where are we going to go? Even though I kind of felt like the Holy Spirit said Jamaica. And so I'm just like, but I don't know. I don't know if that's because Jamaica started to fill up. Even their seats started to fill up. They had seats prior to this, but now it's almost like, I think actually they had three standbys and besides us. So we ended up on the list where we were like number 9, number 12, and number 10 or something like that. And so we're like, oh my gosh, like I'm like, I don't know if we're gonna be able to go to Jamaica. I don't know. And so I'm just like all over the place, just looking for a place. And even though I felt like I heard the Holy Spirit say Jamaica, I'm still looking for all the other places because now it looks like Jamaica, we're not going to make it. Well, so I would say, I consider those places to be the counterfeit, and let me tell you why. So as we were preparing, so I told them, okay, we have to be at the airport at this time because the flight to Jamaica leaves at this time. Now, like remind you, that morning I woke up early. I think I went to sleep for like 2 hours, and I woke up and I'm like checking the flights, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is open, this is open, this is open, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this has so many seats. We need to go here, we need to go there, and so, but I had already called Jamaica. I had already like, I don't know, I just kept hearing Jamaica. And so but I'm like, the seats are filling up, Lord. Like, what are we gonna do? The seats are filling up. These seats are open, but these seats are filling up. And so what happened was I had told one of my friends came in from out of town, and so she stayed with me that night. And the other friend, she lived alone, like about 40 minutes away from the airport. And so I had told them we had to be there at this time to catch the flight for Jamaica. And so that morning, while I'm freaking out, like, oh my gosh, this one, this one, this one. And so I'm calling her and I'm texting her. I'm like, hey, can you meet us at the airport right now? Because we can get on this flight to Bahamas. We can get on this flight to Belize. We can get on this flight to Costa Rica, And so she's like, no, like I haven't even gotten ready yet, like, because all those flights left earlier in the morning. And so Jamaica, like I said, leaves at 1. And so she's like, well, I'm not going to be able to make it over there that quick because I'm about to get in the shower and get ready because I thought we was going to Jamaica at 1. And so I'm like, okay, well, all right, fine. So we end up, I go and get all of our information, like copies and stuff of our passport and stuff like that, just to be safe. And then we meet her. She meets us at the airport. I'm like, we all, get to the plane and we're waiting. And it's so many standbys, and we're like, oh my gosh, like I don't know if we're gonna get on. And so all of like my friend, she's using like her sister because her sister works at the airport, but she's using hers. So she actually gets called first. And I'm like, oh, okay. So then I'm like waiting for I get called, and then my other friend, we're waiting for her to get called. And it's like, oh my gosh, like the intenseness of like the just like, oh my gosh, are we all gonna be able to get called and get on this flight? So then all of our names get called, even though the standby list, even though it said it was oversold and the standby list was like, it had about 12 people on the standby list, and we were close to the end of that standby list. So I'm like, okay, cool. Like we get to go to Jamaica because now we've already missed all the other flights. So all the other flights left early in the morning. We can't even, if we even wanted to, we can't go to the other flights anyway because they've already left. And then now we would have to like try to commute to somewhere else, like get to Miami, and then we would have to go get on the flight because now the other flights have left. And I think it was a flight that was leaving um, later, but it was not going to get us there until like way like later the next day. And it's like, it's no point in going if we're going to come back. We were only going for like 3 days. So it was like no point in going if we were going to do that. And so anyway, we get on a plane. We're on our way to Jamaica. So we're on our way. We're like, oh yeah, we made it. Da, da, da. So me and one of my friends gets to sit together. The other one, she has to sit in another seat, a few seats behind us. But it actually worked out because at first we were like, oh man, because we tried to ask the guy that was sitting on the end of the row. We were like, hey, do you? Well, my friend was like, do you like the aisle seat? And he was like, yeah. And like, why did you ask her that question? Like, because our other friend was technically in the aisle seat, but it ended up working out. So she's like, so he just like sits there. So me and her, we like, fall asleep. We're like, excited. So we get over Jamaica, and I don't know that my phone service is not gonna work when we get to Jamaica. So their phone service works, and mine doesn't. And I'm like, so I have all the stuff on my phone. I have all the hotels lined up. I already looked them up. I've already called them. I already looked on my website. I see that there's a discounted rate. I see I can get them through the website. I'm doing the same thing I did like 2 years ago when I was supposed to be going to Cancun. And I'm like, okay, this is going perfect. Like, great. We get over Jamaica, and I'm trying to like log into book a hotel because I'm like, okay, now we're here, we need a hotel. And so I'm trying to log in and book a hotel, and my service is completely gone out. I can't make phone calls, I can't make texts. I didn't sign into WhatsApp before I left because I didn't think about it. It had been years before since I had used WhatsApp, so I didn't think about signing in. It was a mess because I'm like, oh my gosh, y'all, what have we done? My phone is not working. They don't have any of the stuff on their phone. I can't log into their phone because I'm trying to log into my work website and log into the websites that I had already had everything lined up. I can't log in because it's asking me to approve that it's me trying to log in on their phone. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. So we're like, I'm like panicking, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And like this, I don't know, however long it was that we got into Jamaica, it had to be at least 20 or 30 minutes that we were flying over Jamaica, where I'm like trying to log in, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't log in, I can't log in. And so I'm like, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? We don't have anywhere to go. Why did I come here? What is going on? And so I'm panicking. And my friends they know how I am, but they like, girl, what have you gotten us into? But that was the look on their face. They didn't say it, but that was the look on their face, like, girl, are you serious? We are over here and your phone don't work and we don't have anywhere to go. So anyway, we end up right before we get off. I'm like, all these people, I see all these people who are coming into Jamaica, and I'm like, oh my gosh, who do I ask? I'm like, Lord, who do I ask? Who do I ask? What do I do? I don't know what to do. Like, I'm really panicking in my head because I'm just like, Lord, what do I do? And so I'm like, who do I ask? Who do I ask? And so I'm looking around, and I look at the guy who's on the end of our row. It was a 3-seater. And so he's on the end of our row, and he's getting up, and he's like putting his stuff together or whatever. And so I'm like, hey, have you been here before? And he's like, yeah. He's like, I got family here. Like, I come out here to see my family all the time. And I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, cool. Like, do you know, I was so embarrassed because I was just like, I didn't know what to ask him. But I basically just asked him, like, do you know like how it works, to like the process to getting in there and like all that? He's like, oh yeah. So he's like helping us and showing us and everything. And so he's like, yeah, when you go in, you just go through here, da da da, and then you fill out the paperwork. So we get to the counter to like fill out the paperwork, and I'm like, y'all, be cool, be easy, because at this point we don't have a hotel, and like when you're going international, they expect you to have accommodations. If you don't have accommodation, they like, what you doing? Why are you coming into our country? And so I'm like, oh my gosh, we don't have accommodations. What are we gonna do? And but I'm like, I'm trying to be calm and cool because I'm like, I don't want them to like see us on the cameras and like kick us out because because we're like nervous and stuff. I don't want them to think we're trying to like smuggle drugs or something. And so I'm like, okay, y'all, be calm, be cool. Like we just got to make it through security, and then once we make it through security, then we'll figure it out. And so we get to security, and then like he comes and like helps us, and there's like some other people that was asking for help too, so he helps them like fill out their paperwork and stuff. And he was like, just put. I was like, we don't have a hotel, and he was like, what, like y'all? And I'm just like, yeah, I called the hotel and it was booked. And so I thought we were gonna be able to get a different hotel, but then that was booked too. And he was like, okay, we'll just put a hotel on there and then, get through security. So we get through security and he goes through because he's already got all his stuff done or whatever he has to go through. And so finally we all figure it out. We get through security. And so we see him, we're like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. Like we made it through security. And so we still don't have anywhere to go. So so we're like, so how do we uh find somewhere to go? Or like how does it work like for us to get into the town, like to the hotels and like all that? So y'all he's like, okay, so y'all can't okay. So he's like, okay, well, I have a driver. He's like, maybe he's like, I'm going like an hour out. So maybe I can have my driver come back and get y'all and take y'all to wherever y'all trying to go once y'all find a hotel or whatever. And I'm like, okay, cool. And so we exchange numbers. My phone ain't working, so I got to use my friend's WhatsApps so that they can communicate with him and I can communicate with him. And so he's like, just telling us like to be aware of this, make sure that we get their money so that they don't try to scam us because they know that we're not from there and stuff like that. And so, yeah, so he leaves. We go outside the airport because they're getting ready to close down. Because I guess they closed down while in between their flights, and so the whole airport closes down. And their flight wasn't coming till later on that night. And so we're sitting outside the airport and we're like, hmm, I don't know what to do because we're in Jamaica. We don't have anywhere to go. So we start calling the places and we're like trying to figure out how to get their money so that because we can't for some reason the machine was not in English. I don't know why, because most of them are in English, but especially at the airport, but it wasn't in English, so we didn't really know what we were trying to we didn't know how the money transferred. And so we didn't really know how to do it because there was just an ATM machine and this like you walk into this little door and there's like a little space and it has an ATM machine in there. And so we saw people going in there, but it was like, okay, we could tell that it was like not, out of courtesy, you don't go in there while somebody else in there. You let them go in. So we get in there and we're looking, we're like, well, what does this mean? Like none of us know what it means. We don't know how much money to put in there. We don't know how much to get. We don't know how much it's worth. So we go over to the front desk and they have like someone sitting behind the glass and a speaker. And so we're like, excuse me, can you tell us how the ATM, what does it mean like to get our money? And the person was so loud that everybody out there like heard everything they were saying. They were talking so loud on the speaker. It was just like everybody who's out here waiting on their plane, I mean, waiting on their ride or whatever, heard them. And so it was like, okay, thank you, because like you about to tell everybody that we don't know what we doing. And we tried not to do that. So we I think we went back over to the ATM door and we're like standing there and then we happened to see some people and we asked them like how to and then they the guy kind of explained it to us and then he went on ahead and walked off or whatever. And so we went in there and we're like trying to put the money in there. We get the money, so now we have the money. We still don't know where to go. So we end up sitting, we see like a little restaurant outside of the airport that's like serving food. We didn't know that they were getting ready to close. So we're like, oh, we'll get food later. We want to make sure that we go ahead and call our hotel, blah, blah, blah. We didn't get food. They closed like a couple minutes after we sat down. I don't remember how long because it was just like everything was just, it was so much going on that it was like, oh my gosh. So they closed. We didn't get no food. So we're like, oh my gosh, like I'm hungry. The restaurant is closed. We didn't know it was getting ready to close. The whole airport is closed, and all we see is like drivers out there who are still looking for people. So they're coming up to us. They're like, "Hey, where are you going? I could take you here for blah blah blah. I could take you here for that." And I'm like, we're like, no, no, like no, we got a ride. We got a ride coming. We're trying to tell them like we got a ride coming. We ain't got a ride coming. We ain't got nowhere to go. So we ain't want to tell them that because we in a different, you know. So then we end up going, we sit on the restaurant patio, and we're just like sitting out there. So we call almost it felt like we called every hotel on the island. We were in Montego Bay. We called and called and called and called. I mean, she's calling, I'm calling. We called for several hours. We could not find a hotel that had any vacancies because all the hotels were occupied. They had no rooms. So there's this driver sitting out there, and he's like watching us. He's like listening. So he eventually comes up and he's like, "Hey, you need a ride?" Blah blah blah. So we finally, like, it's a couple hours past. We just still sitting out here, and so we finally find a hotel, and they're like, oh yeah, we got some rooms available. And so we're like, okay, well, where are you at? So we write down the address and we write down the name and all that stuff. And so the guy is over here ear hustling, so he hears us that we found a hotel. So he comes over, the driver, and he's like, hey, I'll take you, like, where are you trying to go? So we're all excited. The woman or whoever was on the phone kept trying to get my friend to register her card while we were on the phone. I said, no, do not do that. I said, we'll wait till we get there. And they kept trying to pressure her. And I said, do not do that. We'll wait till we get there. So anyway, the driver comes over. He's like, where are you trying to go? I'll give you a ride. Da, da, da. So we tell him whatever hotel it was. And he said, what? He was like, he didn't recognize the name of the hotel. He said, what's the address? We said the address. He said, I'm not going there. I'm not going over there. Nope, I'm not going there. And he started to walk away. And I'm like, sir, can we negotiate? Like, do we have to pay you more or like what? And he was like, no, I'm not going there. I'm not. And he literally walked off. He didn't want nothing else to do with us. He didn't want to talk to us. So I said, yeah, guys, I don't think we should go to this hotel. If he lives here and he's a driver and he refuses to go in that area, I don't think it's a very safe area for us to go. And they're like, we ain't got nowhere to go. And I'm like, I know, but I think we need to just wait more. Now, mind you, we've been waiting out here for several hours because we don't have anywhere to go. And I'm just like, I just don't think it's a good idea, guys, because he didn't try to negotiate the price for taking us. He said he was not going to take us. Like, that's kind of serious. If he lives here, that means that area is not good. And so we continue looking for places. So we're calling places. My friends are not happy with me. I'm not happy with myself because I'm like, Lord, I thought you said Jamaica. We're in Jamaica. Why is this not working out? And I'm like, Lord, we are going to have to go back. They're going to start getting suspicious. We've been sitting out here for hours. We have nowhere to go. Everybody's watching us. They know we don't have anywhere to go because we are saying we have a ride. Like, what is going on? And so we start looking again. And so we eventually see people walking around who are like workers. And so we didn't realize, but they were getting ready to open the airport back up for the next flight that was coming in. So we see this girl and we're like, we're going to have to ask somebody because we don't know what we're doing. We don't have the accent. We can't do the yaman. Look, I can't even do it. Yaman. I don't even know. Anyway, we can't do the accent, what's it called, patois or whatever. And so we're like, okay, they know we're American. So maybe that's why they're not answering for us. So we see this girl, she has on a vest or whatever. We could tell she works at the airport. So we're like, excuse me, can you help us? We're trying to find we're trying to figure out our hotel or something like that. Our hotel was full and we didn't know it was gonna be full, blah blah blah. And so she's like getting ready to head into work. So she's like, yeah. And so she turns around, she looks and she sees like it's a parking lot across the street with a whole bunch of vans over there. It's a whole bunch of drivers sitting there. And so she calls this driver over and he comes over and she's like, okay, well, and he starts helping us. So he calls because we're like, we're trying to find a hotel and like all the hotels are booked. And we think maybe it's because our accent, because we don't have y'all accent. So he starts calling. He calls like 20 hotels. He's like, what is going on? He's like, this is weird. He's like, I've never seen it be this full, and this is the beginning of March, not the end, like, yeah, spring break is, kind of like March, but like usually in the beginning it's not as full as it is at the end. So we're like, we don't know what to do. And so he's like, and he's calling like as with his, speaking in their language or whatever with the accent and all that. He's not getting anywhere. So we was like, oh my gosh, there's no hotels. So then he was like, I don't know. So then I'm like, so I looked up, I did my research, and see, this is why they should have did their research, because I did my research and I was like, well, I thought I saw something about y'all having apartments for rent. Like people can basically rent an apartment while they're here, like a townhouse or something. And he was like, what? Like, and then he was basically saying, like, I guess it's their version of Airbnb, but it's called something else. I can't remember. This was like 2 or 3 years ago. But anyway, so it's their version of like Airbnb. And so, but they don't do the Airbnb like how we do in the US, because it's very, the US, you just like they have a lock and you go and it's not like that. It's like they got to know who you are or like check you out before you get to do an Airbnb situation over there. So, so anyway, I'm like, okay, well, yeah, I heard something about some houses that you can rent or whatever. But I was about, he's like, oh, he's like, you know what? He's like, let me call somebody real quick. So he calls this friend and he's like, talking in their language. He's like, oh, basically ask him like, do you have a place available? I have 3 females that are looking for a place. We like we are scared to death because we just like, what are we doing? We in Jamaica. We don't know what we doing. We don't want to get kidnapped. No offense to him, but we were scared. So anyway, we go. Well, he eventually calls the guy. The guy says he has a place for us to stay. Now, I think we landed at like 4 p.m. By the time we leave the airport, I think it was about 10, because we were sitting out there all that time trying to find somewhere to go. So I know, I know it. Yeah. So anyway, we finally were just like, we gotta go. We gotta go somewhere. So we were like, okay, Lord, please protect us, but we gonna go with this man because we don't know. I don't advise anybody do this. This like us, it will you will see how the Lord guided us, but I would say make sure you have your hotel accommodations set in stone before you get there because it was dangerous. But thank God for protecting us and guiding us. So anyway, um, the driver, he ends up taking us. We're like, okay, he it's a townhouse that we're gonna end up staying in. It's a 2 bedroom townhouse or whatnot, upstairs, downstairs. It was actually pretty nice. And so we go to we don't know where we're going. We're just like, okay, he's a driver. We trust him. We guess like, okay. And I saw something about you're supposed to get a driver, whatever. So he takes us to the store because he says, well, you guys are going to be able to cook or whatever, because it's an actual townhouse, like, so there's a stove and stuff. And like, we were like thinking like it would be cheaper if we cook instead of going and buying something to eat. Plus, we didn't know how we were going to get to where we were going to get something to eat and all that stuff. So we decided to stop at the store. So we stopped at the store. We like, I cost $80. We got like 3 juices and some eggs and some bacon. What you mean $80? So we had to register like, so we called him over. We're like, they trying to charge us all this money for this. And he was like, yeah, that's how much it costs here. We like, what? Like over in the States, this costs about $15. And so he's like, yeah, like what y'all got, that's what it costs. And so we end up getting stuff. We like, dang. So we like, okay, we're hungry. So it's like he's like, okay, I know this spot I could take y'all, because we was like, we want some authentic like Jamaican food or whatever. So he goes and takes us to this spot, and it's like dark, but it's like a little hangout spot, I guess, for them. And it's like multiple rooms. And it was just like, it was kind of cool, but it was kind of weird. It was kind of like, okay, everything's kind of weird because we're scared. Like, we don't know what we're doing. And so, and, of course we prayed and, was like, okay, Lord, is this okay for us to, go with him? And I definitely felt like, God led us to him, and I'll tell you why. Because yeah. So anyway, he ends up helping us out like the whole time. But anyway, so we get into the restaurant. We're there for like an hour and a half. And we're just waiting. And we're like, where is our food at? We are hungry. It is late. We are ready to go to sleep. We trying to get to this place so we can go to sleep. So they, island time. So they just taking their time. We looking like we've been sitting here at the bar for it. We didn't figured out a whole plan of like what we gonna spend money on, where we gonna go, and everything else. We still sitting here. We like, where's our food at? So then finally, we tell him like we still waiting on, because he kept coming in to check, and so he goes and tells them like they need their food, and so finally they give us our food after like an hour and a half. We like, dang. And he was sitting in the car the whole time, but he just came to come check. So anyway, we get in the car, we go to the townhouse. Now at the time we didn't know it was a townhouse. He gave me the phone, and I talked to the guy, and I it sounded like it was a very weird situation. Like there's some boss on the phone, and I don't know who he is, but I'm like, he's like, well, do you have the money, for tonight? And then how many nights are you going to stay? And da da da. But I'm just like, yes, yes, sir. Yes. And so anyway, we worked out the situation, and we just know that he's going to let us stay in his house or something like that. And so we get there, and the driver goes, and he is like gated and stuff. And so it's dark. We pull up. There's like the end of the road. There's like trees. There's the mansion or house or whatever they call it. There's trees over here. We at the end of the road, and we like, oh my God, Lord. And so we are in the car, we pray, we like, Lord, please, please don't let him kill us, please. Because he went to go and open the door, and it took him almost an hour. And so we're sitting in the car, we're like, oh my gosh, we gotta figure out how we gonna get out of here, because we're panicking, because we're like, we don't know what's going on. Why is it taking him so long? He hasn't come back. Is he's trying to set us up? Like, are they gonna, kidnap us or something? Like, I know that's bad. We should not have been feeling like that. But at the same time, it was just weird. And so anyway, he did come back before the hour. He came back, and then he went back over there for another 15, 20 minutes. And then he came back, and so we're just like, what is going on? Like what? And we're not used to this type of, Airbnb. Like what kind of, Airbnb is this? It's like locked in a gate, and we can't even, we all we see is him disappearing. We don't know where he went. And so, and it's dark, and it's like 1 a.m. by this time. So he finally comes back. He's like, okay, he's like, basically saying that the place that he was trying to get us, he had to go in and hook up the refrigerator and the stove and all the other stuff. And basically that he was having trouble hooking it up because it wasn't working properly or something like that. And so, and then he had multiple, apartments, I guess, like townhomes, and it looked like a mansion from the front, but it was multiple townhomes that were around the sides of it. And so around like the backside. And so you couldn't see them. You couldn't see anything really from the road besides the top of the mansion, because you have this big gate. And so what the driver had to do was go, and the guy had to lead him to where the key was, and then he had to go inside, and he was trying to get in the apartment. He couldn't get the stuff hooked up properly. And so they were like, well, we can't put him in that one because we can't get the stuff hooked up. So then the guy who was in like, Kingston or something, we're in Montego Bay, and like he's like, he ends up telling him like, okay, well, go and open up a different apartment. So he has to go get the keys for that. And it was like he was having trouble with the keys and stuff, and he was trying to set it up and all of that. And he was sweet. He was a sweetheart. So, I'm sorry we were thinking about we were just thinking that just because we were just scared. But anyway, so he went to go get the keys and set up the apartment, and then it was like, okay, well, we're sorry, but you're gonna have to stay in this one, and this one doesn't have any air conditioning. The air conditioner on the bottom floor is not working, only the air conditioner on the top. And then it didn't have any sheets on the bed because he wasn't expecting anybody. It's already late and everything like that. So we were like, okay, as long as we get in here, like we'll just figure it out. So we get in there, and we're like, oh, thank you, Lord. Like it was, we finally get inside and we're just like, thank you, Jesus. Like it was a very nice townhouse, upstairs, downstairs, and it had two rooms. It had two, full queen size beds. And we were just like, okay, we can rest now. We have been waiting all this time and we can rest now. And so, but we're looking like, oh my gosh, like, so the guy is like telling us, he's, helping us out. He's like, yeah, he's like, just make sure that you lock the door. He's like, I'll be back tomorrow to check on y'all. He's like, here's my number, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So we eat our food. It's like 1 in the morning. We're like exhausted. We're sitting there and so we end up, just eating our food. We're trying to figure out like, okay, where we gonna sleep? We got one sheet on each bed, and so we got to make do with what we have. We and then we there was towels and stuff in the bathroom. The water is cold if you ever go. Well, I don't know if it's in all of Jamaica, but there they said that's normal. The water is cold, and so we were like trying to figure out like shower and all that. So anyway, we go to bed. We wake up the next day, and the next day is my birthday, and so we go downstairs. We're like cooking, we're dancing, we're singing because I'm playing the song and is talking. I don't know if it was something about birthday or something, but we're like dancing. We're like birthday, and I had put like a chair under the door, like just to make sure ain't nobody coming up in here. I didn't check the whole place. I'm like, okay, look, ain't nobody coming in this much. So I had like put stuff in front of the door and stuff just to make sure it wasn't nobody gonna come in while we was sleeping or something like that. So we wake up and we're like dancing and stuff, and so we see somebody, we hear somebody outside. We're like, so it's the driver, and the driver is like, "Hey, so y'all got to pay for today, or else y'all got to leave right now." And we like, "What? Like, we just woke up. What do you mean? Like, we only been here for a couple hours, because we got here at like 1 in the morning. At this time, it's probably like, I don't know, maybe 9, 10, maybe 11 in the morning." And so we're like, "What do you mean pay for today? We just got here." And so he's like, the guy he wants to talk to me, and he's like, yeah, he's like, so y'all have to pay for today if y'all going to be there, and y'all need to go ahead and pay for tomorrow. We're like, well, we don't know if we're going to be able to stay tomorrow, so we just want to pay for today. And so we end up paying, well, we have cash. And so he's like, he's no, do we have, yeah, I think we have cash. And so he's like, he's telling the driver like, they better pay right now or else they have to leave right now. And so we're like, what? Like we didn't even we're trying to figure out like what's going on. And so the driver's like, look, I gotta go. So he's like, I got somebody to pick up. I can't be late. And so he's like, I'll be back to get the money. And so the guy, he's like, no, no, you better get the money from them right now or else they need to leave. And so I'm like, okay, we can give you the money, but like he wants to give it to the driver. Well, we can't give it to the driver because the driver's leaving. So the driver went ahead and left because he's like, I gotta get to my appointment on time. I'm not gonna be late to pick up these people. So we're like, okay. So then we're sitting there, and I think the guy calls back, and he's like, he calls us, and he's like, there's gonna be, I'm sending somebody to pick up the money, so go and take it out there to him. So we're on the backside of the mansion or whatnot, and so we walk out, and it was super suspect because he said somebody's coming to pick up the money. I'm thinking the person's going to come into the gate just the same as the driver did, and they're going to come and meet us. I come out, and he's like, he's outside right now. Go take him the money. And I'm looking, and I'm like, where's he at? And I walk around the front, and this guy is outside the gate, and he's like, hey, hey. And he's like telling me, and I'm like, I'm thinking like, I'm not gonna get this man no money. I don't know him. Like he's standing outside the gate time I come give him money. And so I think I was on the phone with the guy, and he was like, yeah, take it to him. He's like, give him the money right now. And I'm like, and I'm just thinking like, he ain't even got a key to get in the gate. Like it was super suspect. I was like, oh God, please don't let them take our money. So then I go over, and the guy is like reaching through the gate, and I like give him the money, and then he's like, okay. And then I'm like, okay, can we get towels? Can we get covers? Can we get, whatever we need and stuff? He's like, okay, I'll bring it to y'all. He's like, okay, basically he'll get somebody to bring it to us or whatever. Because he's in Kingston, we're in Montego Bay. So anyway, are like, okay, that was weird. But anyway, we call the driver. We're like, okay, come on, let's go. We want to go to the beach. Like, I'm excited. It's my birthday, whatever. So we get out there. The driver picks us up. He takes us to the beach, or he takes us to the store to get stuff because we didn't have our beach stuff. So we need to get beach towels and stuff like that, and sunscreen and all that. And then he takes us to the beach. And then so we're like at the beach, we're hanging out, and yeah, we're at the beach, we're hanging out, and it just ends up being an amazing night. Like, it is just so amazing, because it was such a beautiful day. I didn't get to go swimming the way I wanted to because my friends was not trying to watch my stuff. But other than that, it was a pretty good day. And so we were gonna go to the beach for a little while, and then um, we were gonna go to where we were going. We were gonna go somewhere and get dressed and go out to eat. And so while we were at the beach, there's this woman who birthday was the same day, and so she was actually setting up. They were setting up a party for her for nighttime at the beach. So they had the lights out there. They had like all the it was just beautiful. It was so like the weather was beautiful. They put up all the lights. They had their little buffet tables out there, and they were serving them, and it was just really beautiful. And so I'm like, oh my gosh. And so everybody else is kind of leaving the beach, but I'm like, okay, well, if we can stay, then we might as well just stay here so we don't have to pay another time to get the driver, because we have to pay the driver to take us everywhere that we went. We had to pay him. And so I mean, I guess that's just like Ubers and stuff, but they set their prices. It's not like you put in an Uber amount and it's like, okay, it'll be $10 to take you back to it. No, it's like if they want to charge you $50 to go down the street, then that's how much they charge you, and you have to pay the price for whatever driver you have. And so thankfully he was very nice, and um he did not overcharge us, and he didn't charge us crazy outrageous prices, and he knew and he understood that we didn't know what we were doing, but he could tell that we were, like, he definitely took care of us. So anyway, we went to go and we went to go and go to the beach. And so we were there and we were like dancing around. So I'm like, okay, you know what, you guys, let's just stay here. Let's just get some food here and let's just stay here. So they have a DJ come out. Like, everybody has left except for like pretty much her party. The girl the woman who's having the party, I think she was turning 60 or something. She looked good for 60. Like, there was people coming from all over that had moved away that lived in Jamaica, and they were coming back for her birthday party celebration. And so they had a DJ, they had music, and then you had all the people that worked there, like at the bar and stuff like that. And so it was so much fun. It was such a beautiful night, and I could not have asked for a better night besides the fact that I wanted to go swimming and I didn't get to go swimming. But anyway, um, so it was just a really beautiful night. Uh, and then I ended up like just it was just such a beautiful night. I can't even explain. It was just like under the stars. It was just like a scene from a movie. Like, it was so beautiful. And there was some nice looking men there too. I ain't gonna lie. But anyway, back to what I was saying. So we end up going to we hang out at the beach. I think we were there till like 1 in the morning because the driver was trying to come get us, but it was so much traffic because it might have been like a Friday or Saturday night or something for them. And so where we were, like where the beach is, there's like a strip of like clubs and stuff like that. And so there was so many people, and so the driver couldn't even get to us to like pick us up. So he finally picked us up. We went back to the place, and we wanted to book an excursion because we're like, okay, we're gonna stay another night. So now we gotta talk to the guy again who's over it. I ain't gonna say what I was calling him because I don't want him to be offended or anything, but it was just, what I'm saying, he was definitely a boss. I was like, this is really creepy. I'm just talking to this guy that I don't even know on the phone, and he's like, it was just very. So anyway, I end up basically I asked him for towels and stuff. So he had, on the last phone call that day before, he said, okay, see you later. And I was like, why he say he gonna see us later? He in Kingston, like he ain't gonna see us. And I'm thinking like, dude, he got cameras around here, but I didn't see any cameras or anything. But I was like, why he say he gonna see us later? He popped up the next morning, because he was like, y'all need to pay. It was like, what? We're like, um, okay, who are you? And it was the guy who I was speaking to on the phone. We were like, I thought you were in Kingston. And he was like, no, I'm here. He was like, y'all need to pay for today or y'all gotta leave. So we're like, dang, like he is not playing about this money. So we go ahead and pay him, and then he brings us some towels and stuff like that, and then we get ready to go. And so the night before, we were trying to book an excursion. So we booked it online. We didn't know anything about how we're going to get there because they didn't send us the email to say where we had to meet to be able to get drove. Because most of the excursions is like 2 hours out drive or whatever, and so they didn't tell us where we had to meet to be able to get there. And we did sign up really late at night, and so we were up all night like trying to check and see like did we get the email to say where we need to be. We literally got the email like maybe, or we called them or something, and we got the information like maybe 25 minutes before we're supposed to get there. So we're calling driver like, oh my gosh, we got to be there such and such, blah, blah, blah. And we already paid all this money for this excursion, and so the driver is rushing, so he gets us there. He gets us to one of the drop off spots, and then we get on the bus and we head to the drop off spot. And all right, sorry, short little break. Y'all know how my life is set up. So I recorded earlier before I went to work, and then I worked my shift, and now I'm back to record part 2 of this particular episode. And so I apologize. I am going to try my best to get through it, but I'm a little sleepy, and we only have so many hours before we have to get up and get ready. So I'm going to try to get through it as quickly as possible. But you will see a different scene in the background. Sorry if you've been here before, you already know. If you haven't, then I am a flight attendant and I have to do the videos in between when I can get them done. Okay. All right. Anyway. Okay, so we get dropped off at the drop-off location. We make it on time. I felt so bad because it was like 7 in the morning. We're like calling the driver, like, "Oh my gosh, we gotta get to the drop-off location right now." And so he's rushing to like get us there. We get there on time, and we get on the bus and we head out to the excursion, which was like an hour or two drive away from where we were. And so we go. They stop at all these other hotels or whatever. We actually get to the excursion, and so there was multiple different excursions that we could book under the organization that we try to book under. And I thought we were going to go riding horses in the water. That's what I wanted to do. It was a 3-part excursion, and so I thought that we get to choose what we wanted to do. And we get there, and they're like, "Oh, you're going zip line." And I'm like, "Whoa, hold up, zip lining? I didn't sign up to go zip line, especially not early in the morning. Okay, I'm afraid of heights. I don't want to go zip lining, and I want to go ride horses in the water. This is what I want to do. This is my birthday. What are you talking about?" And so they're like, well, that's the other location. This is what goes on at this location. And so I am not happy about it because I was not planning on going zip line at all. And then on top of that, I was not planning on going early in the morning hours. And then on top of that, we had to go through the jungle, so we had to drive. We had to get on they call it jungle limousine, and we had to drive out further into the jungle to get to where the excursion was. And so by the time we get out here and we're like climbing up to like zip line and stuff, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, zip line is just not what I was looking forward to doing. And so me and one of my friends is like, oh, I don't want to go. I don't want to go. The other one, she already been. So she just, happy to go and all that stuff. And so, yeah, I was not planning on doing it because we didn't have to do one zip line through the forest or the jungle. We didn't have to do 2. We had to do 4 zip lines just to get through the jungle to get back to where the next part of the excursion was. So each time was still scary. We climbed all the way up all this stuff and everything like that. I don't know if y'all like zip lining, then y'all can have it. I want to go ride horses in the water, okay? So I didn't get to do that. But anyway, we went zip lining, and then we went to the it was a 3-part. So they offered us food. It was really good food too. And then they took us on the tubing, so we were able to like ride on the tubes down the water, and then we got to the bamboo shuttles, and so that was really nice. The bamboo shuttles was, it was very relaxing, it was very calm. And another way that I just felt like it was such a blessing for me on this trip is, so when we went to the bamboo shuttles, you can ride either two or you can ride one, and then there's a person on there who takes you down the river or whatnot. And so at the time, I wanted to be by myself because it was just a lot going on with, and so I just wanted my mind to myself. And so I let my friends go together and I got on one by myself. And I was so grateful that I did, because I ended up being the last person to come back down the river. By the time the guy took me down, he made me this nice bamboo straw, and then they do the foot massage, or they rub the stuff on your feet and give you foot massage and all that. And so on the way back, I ended up being the last person behind all of the shuttles that were heading back to the jungle's limousine. And so I looked over and I was like, I saw a guy who was like in the bushes, like in the forest or the jungle or whatever. And I was like thinking, I'm like, wait a minute, like, why is there a guy out here? Like, I'm like, he looked like he could have been homeless at first. But then I was like, wait, there wouldn't be nobody homeless out here. Like, why would they be all the way out here in the jungle? And then, but I wouldn't say homeless. I guess he looked like kind of bushy and like burly or whatever. And so I was like, so I just asked my shuttle driver or whatever it is, the one that was pushing the boat or whatever it was. And so he was like, he's a farmer. And I said, oh, okay. And so I waved at him. And so he called the my shuttle person over, and he asked him, he said, he said hi to me, and they were talking in patois or whatever it was. And then so he cut a fresh coconut, because he was picking coconuts, and they call it a ugly fruit, but it's like a big orange, like this big, and it's so juicy, and it's dirty though, because it's like it's out there in the jungle, so you have to go out there and pick them, and they fall from the trees and stuff, I think. And so he took the coconut and he cut the top of the coconut off, and he put the little bamboo straw in there, and he gave it to me, and then he gave me an ugly fruit. And then, he was like, and I was like, oh, thank you. And then he said, happy birthday. And then we went on back down the rest of the river. And like, that was really special to me, because like, I was the only person who got to experience that. Because technically, they're not supposed to stop and allow other people, they're not supposed to stop and allow people to talk to the people out there. Like, you're supposed to go down and then come back. And so I just felt like, I was just like, thank you, Lord. That was such a special moment that I was able to have just by being the last person that happened to come back down the river. And so we get down the river, and we get back on the jungle limousine. We head back to our townhouse, and then I think we got dressed again and we went back to the beach. And so and we hung out at the beach or whatever for the rest of the night. And then we went back to our shuttle, and then the next day the driver came and picked us up, and we wanted to go get the name is escaping me. I'm sorry, it's been a long day of work. What is they called? Them I want to say bean pie or something. I don't know. I'll put the name on the screen. But my friends wanted to get a bean pie or whatever it's called, and meat pie, something like that. I'll put the name on the screen. And so the driver took us to go get that, and then he took us to the airport. So we get to the airport, and oh my gosh, the flight was oversold. Like, it was so many people that were on standby and on the list waiting to get on the flight. And we're just like, oh my gosh, we might not be able to get home, because my friend had to go, she had to drive like 5 or 6 hours to get home. And then, no, she had to fly. Yeah, she was no longer able to drive. So she had to fly back home. And then my other friend, she had to work the next day. And then I think I had to work like the next day after that or whatever. And so I'm like, oh my goodness, we might not be able to get home. I'm like, Lord, please, like, can we please get home? So it just, by the grace of God, it was so many people that did not show up for their flight home because they decided to stay longer and stuff. And we really wouldn't stay longer. If we would have had more time and stuff, then we would have definitely stayed longer. But so it was so many people that didn't show up for their flight. So we got on the flight, and then the guy that helped us on the way there, when he was sitting at the end of our seat, he comes on, and we had texted him or whatever. He said he was on the way, but he ended up kind of getting there late. But thankfully, he was able to get on the flight too. And so thank you. Shout out to, I'll say, Britt. Thank you, Britt. Shout out to you for helping us on this crazy excursion that we decided to go on for my birthday. But yeah, so and then he, like, kept in contact with us the whole time that we were there. And so yeah, and so it ended up being a great experience. It was kind of wild and a little crazy and a little a little crazy, but it ended up working out really well. And so the reason I say don't fall for the counterfeit in this situation is that I did hear. I felt like I heard the Holy Spirit say, go to Jamaica. And so I was looking at all these other places, and at first the places were the Bahamas and stuff like that. It looked like their flights were filling up, and so I was like, okay, it looks like we're gonna go to Jamaica. So I decided on Jamaica, and I also felt like I heard the Holy Spirit say, go to Jamaica, but it wasn't like really loud and like, oh, go to Jamaica, go to Jamaica. It was like, it wasn't like I was like really resisting like going to Jamaica. It was like I kind of felt like I heard it, but then I didn't really know for sure. And then it was like it looked like Jamaica was filling up, but it looked like the other flights were opening up. And so the reason we didn't book a hotel in advance is because we didn't know for sure. We were doing whichever flight had the most seats available for us to get there. We knew, like, I had already looked up hotel accommodations in each one, so that's why we were going to try to find a hotel whenever we got there, because it's a thing that people do, like mainly like flight crew. They'll take the chance of like, okay, if I can't go to Hawaii because the flight is full, then I'll go to Jamaica or I'll go to the Bahamas or whatever if the flight is full, because you just want to, you have your vacation days, you're like, okay, I want to get there on my vacation. And so anyway, like I said, I kind of felt like I heard the Holy Spirit say go to Jamaica, but then I was like, I don't know for sure, because the flights weren't looking like we were going to be able to get to Jamaica. And so on that particular day, and so anyway, we ended up going to Jamaica, and I feel like the other places, even though they opened back up that day, I'm so grateful that we did not have the opportunity to go on those, to go to those particular places, because our flight left later, and so my friends are already ready to get ready later. And so I think that that was definitely God's provision was already set up there in Jamaica for us. So the driver that we ended up, I feel like he, even though he didn't know it and we didn't know it, he was sitting there waiting for us. And he ended up being the best driver. Like, I've never had a driver in another place, but I mean, I think he was great. He came and picked us up every time. Like, he took us the whole time while we were there. He would pick us up and take us to wherever we needed to go. He didn't charge us outrageous prices. I mean, it does cost, money to get around there. That's what they make. That's how they make their living. So, I mean, you are going to pay, anywhere from $20 to $50, depending on where you're going and what time of day it is and how many customers and stuff they do have. But I've heard of stories of people saying that they have been charged like $55 to go 4 miles, and like, and then it's like every single time that you want a ride, especially since they know you're American and stuff. A lot of times I've heard that people have gotten, scammed from a lot of drivers in Jamaica that will try to charge you a whole bunch extra because they feel like you have money. And so they'll charge you a whole bunch extra money to get to where you're going. And so he did not do that. He kept the prices. I feel like they were good for where we were going. And because it was pretty busy on the island, he did have other customers, and we just kind of came out the blue. And so I definitely feel like he kept the prices at a reasonable price for us, and he didn't like try to scam us out of any money. He also, looked out for us as far as like just, taking us to the store, coming in with us, because we're like, wait, this is too much money. And he's like, no. And he like explained it to us. He took us to go to like the store to get stuff to go to the beach, and just things that he didn't really have to do, that we didn't really necessarily pay for, I guess, because like he included it in our ride a few times, like when we asked to go to the beach, but like he knew of a store that was nearby, and so he stopped us at the store to get whatever we needed to get, and then he took us, and then like even on the way to the place, and then he happened to know somebody, and so he asked his friend, he asked him, hey, do you still have this place available? And so he was able to put us in contact with the guy who we were able to rent the Airbnb from. And then he really was just very sweet. He was very nice, and he even said like he could tell that he just wanted to look out for us, because he could tell that we were just, it seemed like we were good people, basically, is like what he said. And he definitely was a good person. I definitely will put his information on there. If you go to Montego Bay, definitely hit him up. I know I told him a long time ago when I was there that I was going to do a video and I was going to put his stuff up there, and it's taken me some years, because I think we went in 2023, or was it 20? Yeah, I think we went in 2023. And so, it's taking me like 2 years to get out on here and do this. But anyway, I will put his information on the screen, and or put it down below or something where you can be able to contact him, and you can let him know that you heard about him from me. But definitely, I recommend him. I also know of a couple other drivers who my coworkers have told me about, and so I could also put their information as well if he happens to be busy or if he's not available or something. But definitely, when you go to Jamaica, you need a driver that's going to be your dedicated driver. I feel like it's easier when you have a dedicated driver than when you're trying to. It's not like Uber, like it is here in the US, where you can just like call a Uber and they'll just come get you. And so you need like a designated driver that will take you, that does know the island, that does know how to get you places and do and everything like that. So definitely shout out to him. I believe his name was Robert, but I'm going to look that up and I'm going to put his information on here. Definitely shout out to him. Thank you so much. If you ever happen to see this video, thank you so much for taking care of us and helping us. And I definitely feel like you are a godsend. Thank you so much. So that was one of the things I feel like God provided while we were at this particular, because we did follow, and we went to Jamaica instead of going to somewhere else. And then also, I feel like the place that we ended up staying, like God already knew that there was no hotels available on the island besides the risky one. And we didn't know that. And so, I feel like he hooked us up with that driver who was able to call this man and ask him, hey, do you have this available? And he trusted him enough to where he allowed him to come and open it up for us and allow us to come in. And I just think that that was just, wonderful. And it was just very special that God even made that provision, because he already knew that we were going to need a place to stay, because we did not know what we was doing. And so we was going to be stuck out there without a place or have to go to the risque place. And so I'm very grateful that God opened up the door for the guy to allow us to stay there. I would put his information, but after we left, I tried to reach out to him and I told him, hey, like I'll send people your way if, there's people that I know that are coming to town, like they can rent from you, while they're here. And he didn't answer back. And I don't think he really is interested in that. And so I don't really want to put his information on there, because he was nice to us, but I think it's like they're very cautious on who they allow, and like, and stuff like that. So there was somebody else staying there, another couple, but I don't know how they knew him or how they found out about it or whatever. But yeah, I'm not gonna put his information just because I don't really feel like he's interested in having people come to his place. If I happen to find out any other something different that he does want people to come, then I'll put it down below in the description and put his information. And so anyway, another way that I feel like the Lord provided for us is that like I said, the guy who was on the plane who helped us whenever we, at first it was like, oh, we really want him to switch seats with our friend, but then it kind of worked out because when we did ask him, he definitely helped us through the process of getting out of the airport, out of security. He helped us, by telling us to make sure we switch our money over and to be careful because, we didn't want to get scammed and all this other stuff. And so, and he kept in contact with us the whole time we were there. And he even, keeps in we sometimes keep in contact even now, 2 years later. And and so, yeah, like I said, shout out to him, shout out to Britt. Thank you so much for helping us in that situation. I definitely feel like because when I was on the plane and I'm like, oh my gosh, Lord, who do I ask? And I just kept looking, and it was like the Holy Spirit was leading me to ask him. And so, it was a lot of people there, but everybody is not so friendly. Everybody is not going to be able, or not going to extend their hand to help you. And so I definitely feel like he was placed there and we got placed in that row so that we could ask him for help because God knew that he was going to help us. And so that was another way that God provided. I also feel like, the driver, he knew like a lot of different places to go. He definitely, when we went to the place and got the food was really good. So, grateful for that. Grateful for him even taking us to the store, and just different things like that. It was just, and then even for him taking the time to go to that next morning, and he knew we were leaving, and so he made extra time to take us to stop and get the bean pies or whatever they call. And so my friends were able to get that, and then he took us to the airport and dropped us off. And so it just ended up being a really good trip. I did meet a guy there. We actually kept in contact, or we keep in contact for a while too. And he was like super nice. He was, looking out for me because it was like my birthday and stuff. We were like dancing. We were just having a great time. Oh, another way that I feel like the Lord looked out or made provisions is because, he knew that I was like there to celebrate my birthday. And even though I would have been okay with getting dressed and just going somewhere else and eating, it just turned out so wonderful that we were able to just stay at the beach, and they were setting up for this other woman's birthday party, and she had like so many people that were coming to her party. I think it was at least 20, 30, maybe even 50 people. And it was just like a big party on the beach, and it was like it was them, but they were so nice, and they came over and we like took pictures, and we were listening to the DJ, and we were all dancing on on the little dock or whatever. And it was just a beautiful night. The staff there on the beach was very nice, and like they took care of us. They checked on us. They came out and danced with us and stuff, and it was just a wonderful experience that I couldn't have planned it if I wanted to. And so I was just like, I definitely feel like God knows, like he knows how much it meant for me to have such a nice, unexpected gift of like having that party going on there. And we just so happened to go to the beach on that day, and they were having the birthday party. And then she had like a little happy birthday sign that they had put up or whatever. So I took a picture by that. I have to see if I can find my little pictures. I didn't take as many pictures, but I'll put some of them on there. And then I just feel like the other moment of me being on the bamboo shadow and like just being able to interact with the farmer, I just feel like that was so special. I was just like, even though it's so simple, but I just feel like it was so special because it wasn't something that everybody else got to do, and it was just like they were just so nice. The person who was taking me out on the bamboo shadow, and then also the farmer, they were just so nice, and they just, it was just like that niceness and that kindness, the love that they showed while we were there. And everybody on the island was pretty much, pretty nice. And it ended up being a really great experience. And I definitely feel like, I'm glad that we did not, even though it looked like we were not going to be able to get on the flight, I'm glad that it worked out that we continued and that we didn't fall for the counterfeits of going somewhere else. Because when God makes provision for you, like if he sends you there, like for me hearing the Holy Spirit say go, like everything was aligning for Jamaica at first. And so even though it looked like the flights were getting full, he still made a way for us to get on the flight, because technically all three of us should not have gotten on the flight. There were standbys that were in line to get on the flight, but they didn't get on because I guess people decided, some people probably were doing the same thing we were doing, and they probably went to a different destination that had more seats because they saw that this one didn't have the amount of seats that they needed or whatnot. And so some people didn't show up for their flight, and it made room for us to be able to get on the flight. And so I just feel like I just, it was such an interesting experience. I wouldn't necessarily do it like that again. I definitely want to have a plan in place because it was a little scary and it was a little stressful trying to find something at the last minute. But, even though it didn't work out how it did 2 years prior when I had went to Cancun, it still worked out pretty well. And I just think that it was just amazing how God made the provisions for us to go there. And so, I just say again, don't fall for the counterfeit. So even if it looks like it may not be what God told you, like it didn't look like we were going to be able to get a seat because the flight looked like it was full, but God told me to go there. And I'm just so grateful. And then even while we were sitting there, we're looking for, like when my phone went out, I'm like, Lord, what am I supposed to do? My phone is out. Like I'm trying to contact people. I can't log in. I can't log in on their phone to get to my stuff because it's trying to ask me to approve that and that's crazy. They need to change that, because if somebody's phone gets dropped or damaged or lost or stolen or anything, then, or something like this happens, then how are they supposed to approve that they trying to log in on their phone? So they need to change that stuff. But and then even when we are sitting there and we're calling these places and we're sitting here at the airport for hours, and I'm like, Lord, I thought you said to come here, like, did I hear wrong? And it was like, no, I didn't hear wrong. It was just the patience and like trusting in the Lord. Like he already had it lined up, but it was like the waiting was like making me like, oh my gosh, did I hear wrong? Like, I don't know. Like, I feel like maybe, I got us into this mess. And it was just like, God was just like, yeah, like he showed up right on time, thankfully, like he always does. And so, that just, it was a little scary though, because I'm like, Lord, okay, it's been hours. We ain't found nowhere. And then the only place we did find, we can't go there because it sounds like it's dangerous. I also am grateful that I had enough street smarts, or like the Holy Spirit kicked in to say, wait a minute, if he lives here and he's not willing to go in that area, and I mean, this man walked off. He said, I'm not going over there. I'm not going over there. And he walked away. He went and got back in his car and sat there and waited for the next people in front of us. Just sat right there and waited. It's like, I'm not going there. And so for me to, I'm so grateful that my discernment kicked in and I picked up on that. Like, whoa, if he's not willing to go there, there's something wrong with this place. We should not be going here, because why? And then why are they the only place on the island who has a vacancy? Nobody else has a vacancy except for them. Yeah, we're not going there. And so I'm so grateful that God even provided in that, even in, my discernment kicked in, but then also us waiting and just trusting, like, okay, God is going to provide something. And then a few, however long later, then the driver did come along and God did provide something. And so, I don't know. That's how I feel like it was a don't fall for the counterfeit situation, because I feel like if we would have went to Bahamas or I don't know, Costa Rica or whatever, I, not to say that God wouldn't have, provided or opened up doors, but I definitely feel like he already had everybody and everything in place for us. And it just took the trusting and the waiting and trusting in the Lord, for us to get to where we were trying to get. And I also think, like, because we were definitely praying. We were praying. All of us were praying, because we were like, Lord, what are we doing? Even when we got on the jungle limousine, it is a cliff. Literally, if this thing hit the rock the wrong way, we're tumbling down this cliff. And my friend was praying, and everybody was kind of just looking, and then the guy, he was kind of like, oh, Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. And it was like, no, sir, we are going to pray. Look, if we hit a rock the wrong way, this whole thing is crashing down this mountain right now. And so, yeah, it was a lot, but it ended up being a great experience. And I know after I say all that, it's like, how the heck was that a great experience? But it was a great experience, and I'm glad that we did it. I'm glad we were able to experience it. I'm glad we were safe. I'm glad the Lord kept us. I'm glad the Lord provided. And yeah, so once again, just don't fall for the counterfeit. And if you feel like um the Lord is telling you something, definitely continue to pray on it. Seek the Lord in it, and trust that He is going to provide, no matter how it may look. It may not look like the doors are gonna open for you, but He will definitely open those doors if that's where He's sending you to. And also make sure that it's the Lord's voice that you're hearing, because a lot of times we can hear the voice of the enemy can also tell us stuff as well, and get us into a bad situation. And so definitely make sure that you are seeking God, reading His word, and aligning what you're hearing with His word, and that you are waiting. Be patient and wait on the Lord, and and just trust that He will take care of you no matter what. And so, yeah, that's what I have to say about that. So yeah, just don't fall for the counterfeit. I know that story was crazy, but I hope that it was enjoyable for you. Okay. All right. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. Bye, loves.